right, everyone. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show. Eric, how you doing over there?
Pretty good, man. How's everything going with you?
I think I smell some in the air. Basketball season is upon us. NBA Media Day was today, and I don't know about you, but I'm ready for some hoops.
Yeah. When September is starting to wind down and fall's here officially yesterday, I believe, and so it's gonna start ramping up here real soon, and we're gonna have a lot going on with football, baseball playoffs, basketball starting. I guess hockey for those guys that like or folks that like hockey out there. So it's gonna be a crazy time.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite time of the year when fall begins and you have every single sport going on. Best time of year. All right, everybody. I am the Game Injury Doc, aka Dr. Evan Jeffries. On my right is Eric B. Mack. We are the host of the Hoops Rehab Show. You can find us at our handles on all social media platforms. And then also for our show, it is the Hoops Rehab Show on YouTube. So please hit that subscribe button if you're watching live right now. And then we also have the Instagram page as well. Tomorrow we'll be uploading the pod. So if you missed the live show or just like to listen on your way to work, it will be there for you however you get your podcasts. And we always tell you guys, if you're live, please hop in those comments and we'll get to your questions or thoughts throughout the show. All right, Eric, you ready to get this cracking?
Let's do it.
All right. So today was the first day for Media Day in the NBA. Obviously, not all teams went, but we had three teams. We had the Brooklyn Nets, we had the New York Knicks, and we had the New Orleans Pelicans. Eric, did you catch anything interesting this in Media Day?
It feels like Michael Porter has been just like everywhere this summer. So just kind of sticking with that. I saw him today. That was like my first image actually that I saw of Media Day, and I was like, oh shoot, dang, it's here. And as you said, it was just a few teams. I believe a couple of them are playing overseas for the preseason, so they're getting their training camp started a little early. Teams like the Lakers and most of other teams are going to start I believe the 29th or so
yeah.
Something like that. So yep. And then I know we're gonna get into someone that's Slim Shady maybe right now in a minute, but yeah, just what stood out was just that basketball is basically back, and it's just crazy. It feels like we were just talking about the NBA finals.
That's for sure. Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. probably had one of the most interesting off seasons, to say the least, but he was definitely on a summer tour in the media. He was talking about anything and everything. But you gotta love it. He kept his name in the limelight. He's now in the big bright lights of New York City, so that's going to be definitely interesting. Obviously they got a young Nets team, so the East is weak, but for them to make the playoffs is probably going to be pretty slim. But for Michael Porter Jr. to average like 25, probably pretty likely there.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that he wasn't really like this. Before this summer, this figure, this person that we saw a lot, or I didn't really know much about him. So I think it's just once he got traded from Denver, he's I'm going in the Nets. No big expectations. I'm gonna probably drop 25, as you just said.
Yeah,
may as well get my my name out there a little bit and enjoy the Big Apple.
That's for sure. Well, there's one guy that I noticed the most in this NBA Media Day, and that was Zion Williamson, or you can call him Slim Zion right now. Kind of like you're looking a little bit like Slim Luka, I would say.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts?
That's why I say Slim Shady, because I don't know.
We'll see. I feel like I've seen this script before. Yeah. He's coming into Media Day or in the training camp in the best shape of his life. They did show a side-by-side of last year and this year, though. Whew. It was a totally different. Like, you could just see it in his face. he definitely has lost some weight. Is hopefully taking it seriously. I know one thing that I noticed he talked about is he did a bunch of boxing and football workouts. Right.
That's interesting.
I like the cross training idea. I like the fact that he's getting his body used to doing some other things. But hey, what are your thoughts on kind of seeing Slim Zion?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're hesitant, but at the same time, if he would have come in out of shape or he would have looked the same, people would have got all over him about him not caring and stuff. So at least he's that step one, kind of taking care of the body. I'm assuming he's heard all the chatter the last couple of years, and if he like had the same, I don't want to say weight, but just the same kind of, I guess, weight and the shape of his body, and didn't take care of himself, but he was still healthy and putting up numbers and getting wins, folks wouldn't say anything. But it was the fact that he was just can't stay on the floor. And I know before we got on, you were looking at some stats around his durability, and I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad. If you want to share.
Yeah, so Zion has played a total of 6 seasons. There's only been 2 seasons that he's played more than 30 games, right? So we got his first year, 24 games. And then the following year, he played about 61 games. After that, 29 games. Then he had a decent year, which was 70 games. Then went back down to 30 games last season, right? So if you look at that cycle, it looks like he should have a normal-ish season. Hopefully you get into that 60s to 70s. But he has not been able to stay on the court, right? He hasn't played, I think, roughly half his games or so, or less than half the games in the league. So we need to see him stay on the court. I know he's dealt with a lot of hamstring, soft tissue injuries. I'm hoping that he took this offseason, took it seriously. It sounds like he got his workouts in. He's got his diet under control. I just don't know how much of that stays during the season. I feel like that's been the hardest thing for him, because he has come into seasons like in really good shape. But how does that stay during the season when he's on the road? Maybe he's not eating right. Maybe he's not doing the same things he would normally do. And then that gets out of control. And then that's when the injuries kind of pile up.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely just the numbers you shared. It's got to be a concern. Yeah, that's the weird thing, I guess, when you're talked about a lot, and maybe kind of like Luka, as you mentioned, is a prime example. When you kind of have your like, it can go 2 ways. Obviously, when you have a lot of time, like you do in the off season. But if you just hear all this chatter, I mean, if you're any kind of competitor, you're gonna put in the work. And yeah, that's what I'll be interested to see is one, staying on the floor. I think the upside in a way is there really isn't much expectations down in New Orleans. And so not much expectations for him either. I know he was a first pick, but that was, now 6 years ago. You can kind of play free. You can, maybe rebrand a little bit and kind of show that he is still someone to be reckoned with, because when he's played, he's had some, obviously some good moments, and he's a talented player. But I think, maybe something like that, not a lot of expectation, and maybe just fly under the radar a bit. Maybe something like that will benefit him this season.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think the expectations of Zion have subsided, and people just expect him to be injured. Yeah. So I think at this point is like, hey, play free, like you're saying, and maybe that will at least get him to a point where he's mentally able to kind of lock in, right? So that's the main thing. He just needs to lock in, stay healthy, because on the court he's usually pretty good statistically, right? Like he's averaging a pretty good amount of points, usually getting his rebounds. I'm not sure how much he's worked on his shot and things like that over the offseason, but it'll be interesting to kind of see what he looks like during this season.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously used like his weight and strength to his advantage in some circumstances, but it's obviously been a hindrance. So he kind of had to do this, and so yeah, we'll see we'll see. I wish him the best. I hope he does get that 65 to 70 games. And I think if he does, you'll look, and he'll definitely stuff that stat sheet if anything else. And hey, maybe they'll surprise some guys out west or surprise some folks.
Yeah, I mean, overall in his career, he's averaged 24.7 points, right? So the guy can score. He's a bucket. He's not a 3-point threat or anything like that at all, really. He can hit it from time to time, but like last year, he shot 23%, right? So that's not normally going to get it done. The other years, he's actually shot pretty decent. He was in the 30s, and as a career, he's 32.7%. So he's not terrible at it. He just needs to be probably in those mid 30s at the 3-point line. And then along with his game, obviously getting to the basket is usually the one thing that everybody has difficulty stopping.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're gonna, mistake him for some outside threat. He's gonna play his game, and that's all you could really ask for. Again, he just has to stay on the court.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So along with the media day, we had somebody make an appearance on First Take, which was Jayson Tatum, the Boston Celtic champion. He's obviously coming off an Achilles tear that happened in the New York Knicks series, and when it happened, first thing is like, well, that's probably going to be a loss for next season. Just thinking about timeline and how long it normally takes. The injury happened in what round would that be? That was about May, second. Right?
Yeah.
Probably just first week of May or so. So when you're looking at timeline, you're looking at usually the 9 to 12 month range. So, earliest February to kind of that May range, right? And a lot of times when you think about Achilles tears and things like this, they usually take the full year to kind of get that whole recovery. But he had some interesting comments I wanted to play for everybody.
What are your thoughts about the Boston Celtics considering the myriad of changes that have taken place?
Well, for one, this is like maybe the third time. I haven't said I'm not playing this season.
No. Okay.
He was kind of looking at us sideways when we brought that up.
Yeah. So I'm thinking Achilles. All right, that's fair. That's fair.
The most important thing is a full recovery, being 100%.
That's right.
Not rushing.
Yeah, don't rush back.
At all.
Don't do that.
But also, I don't go to rehab 6 days a week for nothing. Okay. But with that being said, with being a part of the organization and the Celtics, there is a standard that we play to, that we uphold, regardless of, who we have in the lineup, who's on the team, who's not. There's a sense of pride that we have when we put that uniform on, and we always are competing to win a championship. And that standard will not change.
Interesting, right? So, what were your first thoughts when you kind of heard him say that?
I mean, like, I'll kind of leave. I mean, you spoke a little bit about it. I'll leave the medical part of it up to you. But it's not the first we've heard of something like that. Aaron Rodgers, when he tore his, he was pretty adamant, or he was, or not adamant he was going to come back, but he was adamant that there was a chance he was going to come back. I think at the end of the day, these guys are, they're competitors. He's working his ass off 6 days a week, like he said. He doesn't want to sell himself short. He knows Boston is probably going to still be decent, without him, and they'll probably have a decent record. And he's probably like, hey, I don't want to just throw away seasons just because. But he also said, like, he's going to take the safe route, as he mentioned. He's not going to rush back. And so, while it's like a little surprising, I don't know. I just think it's one thing to come back at like that March, April point and just play like regular season basketball, but you're at that point ramping up for like the playoffs, and then the playoffs are another different beast. And so, yeah, it's going to be tough, but I think these days, medical advancements, there's probably going to be a time here soon that somebody comes back earlier than expected, and shoot, maybe it's Jayson Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, looking at some of the videos and some of the early kind of rehab images and how he's walking around, I mean, he was doing really good or just right away, right? So you're like, I mean, that looks good. Sometimes you're seeing people with limps. Sometimes there's some issues with like his range of motion, things like that. All that looked really well. I like how he says, you know, he's not hitting the PT 6 days a week for nothing, right? So
Yep.
I think it's all dependent on how Boston is, right? Obviously, if they're a bad team, it's going to be a wash season. They'll probably try to get a high draft pick and then just have Tatum come back the next year. Now, because the East is pretty weak, you know, they still have Jaylen Brown. You still have Derek White. You added Anthony Simmons, who's a decent young guard that I think can kind of fit with the system. Obviously, you got rid of like Drew Holiday, so that was kind of tough for them to lose him. But you know, you added kind of a younger, athletic guard that could probably, you know, add a different dimension to this team. You lost Porzingis, but Porzingis towards the end of the season and playoffs, obviously with a mysterious illness, was not doing much for you.
Right.
Al Horford still hasn't signed with anybody, right?
Yeah, I heard he's just going to go to the Warriors, but I don't know, you know.
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
like, I just haven't seen anything on that. There's been, he's a guarantee with the Warriors, and then that's been like 2 months.
Yeah, like how long is that going to be for?
So who knows if he's coming back? The main thing for them is they don't really have a big guy, right? So that's going to be the toughest part for them.
Yeah.
So that's going to be their gaping hole, right? I mean, I can't even name their center right now. Which, Eric, do you know their center?
Yeah, they traded. They got somebody, then they traded him, right? Hold on, Celtics center. Remember they? Oh gosh, don't say Luka Garza.
No, we got a guy named Nimius Quetta.
I know they ended up getting Boucher. He's more of a power, I guess. Chris Boucher,
they got that guy. They got him too, but they really don't have a true center unless this guy is going to be a stud out of nowhere. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see. They do have Luka Garza, but I don't think he's going to be much of a factor there. And you still have Peyton Pritchard, so you still have some talent. I just think overall, is this a team that's around 500? I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, it could be rebuild year, and so if they're around 500, you know, if he comes back like that February, March, April, it's like if he doesn't come back, that gives him like another basically full 6 months of just really healing. So, I mean, I'm pretty positive that's just gonna depend on how they're doing, and if he feels that they're in a place where his impact will kind of, you know, obviously turn it up a notch for them. But I also think the organization is going to have a say in it too a bit, right? You know, it's their high priced, you know, superstar, where it's like we're rather have you another 4 or 5 years after that healthy, you know. So but hey, can't count him out. Gave us something to talk about and topic of discussion, you know. And so I think in the past, like, we always just like, bam, okay, 12 months. But like whenever he tears that Achilles, just add 12 months. And then depending on where in the season that is, okay, that's going to be already in the playoffs. So he'll be out the year. That's typically how it works. But you never know. I mean, he's obviously in amazing shape, young. And so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, you would love to see it, right? Because he's a great, obviously, top 5 player in this league, and you want to have your stars out there. You just want him to be safe about it. And he even said that too. He said he's obviously not going to rush anything, but if he's passing all the tests, he's feeling good, and it's been around that probably 9-month mark, could be positive. Could be possible. So I'm not going to count it out, and I hope he keeps getting better each day.
Yep. We'll see. Again, it probably just depends how the Celtics, you know, how they're doing around probably the maybe All-Star break, trade deadline-ish. And then you'll probably start to hear rumblings of what's going to happen.
For sure. All right, Eric. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this 2025-26 Lakers team.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're Laker fans, obviously.
Yeah.
But are you excited for this team in a different way than you were last year?
Oh yeah, I mean, first off, I'm kind of pumped for media day because we get to finally hear a little bit from LeBron, so that would be interesting. That's what I'm looking forward to first off and foremost, right?
He still hasn't said if he wanted to be on the Lakers, right?
Yeah. Still waiting. I guess just contractually.
I do remember you saying that it's probably going to just go silent and he won't say anything, and then he's just going to show up at media day.
Yeah.
So Eric, you pretty much predicted what's going to happen because next Monday, come media day, number 23 will be there for his 23rd season, and we'll get to hear everything probably about what was talked about this over the summer.
Oh yeah. It's going to be interesting. But to answer your question, compared to last year, yes. Last year, it was just a hope. It was just a dream. Hope that we can catch lightning in a bottle with AD and LeBron one last time, with really not much to look forward to in the future. But I don't know how they're going to do this year, right? I mean, there's a lot of good teams, a lot of great teams out west. So it's going to be competitive. It's not going to be easy. But I definitely am excited. I think they're, if they can play up to their capabilities and stay healthy, knock on wood, I think they'll be in the mix just like everyone else, beyond probably OKC, maybe a little touch of Houston. But yeah, it's funny. I saw like a post of like DeAndre Ayton and I was like, oh shit, that's right. I don't know, just forgot we had him. So looking forward to that. I think is due for a career year. Maybe not numbers wise, because he did pretty well in Phoenix, but just kind of his presence and, Lakers needed a big man badly last year. We all know that, well documented, and they have that. So what about yourself? Are you excited for the squad and for media day and start of training camp?
Yeah, we're going to get a full year out of Luka, right? Yeah. I'm excited to see how he is on media day, right? We never seen him on media day. Luka. We never had a full season out of him. So, I mean, that's number one. So when you think of like additions to a team in the offseason, I still feel like he's an addition, even though he was part of a team last year. Yep. We signed him to an extension. So that means we're going into the season knowing he's not going to be a free agent next year. So I thought that was huge. Bringing obviously a big guy like DeAndre Ayton was a number one priority, and we got pretty lucky with it, to be honest with you, because he was basically cut by Portland, and we were able to add him as a free agent. But when you look at overall them losing players, yes, we lost Dorian Finney-Smith, which was tough. But after that, we only lost Jordan Goodwin, Trey Jemison, and Shake Milton. So really nobody significant did we lose. We only added Ayton, LaRavia, and Marcus Smart, and made sure we had Luka signed up and LeBron in the fold, right? So I feel like they got a lot better than they were last year, right? We've kept our depth with having Austin Reeves and Rui still. We still have players that if we need to make a trade, we have a lot of options right now who we can make a trade with. Obviously there's Gabe Vincent, there's Vanderbilt, there's Rui. I don't think they're going to trade Austin Reeves. I feel like they're trying to keep him and kind of sign him to an extension. Yeah. But we do have players, if we go into the season, if we go in 20, 30 games into the season and it just doesn't fit as well, then they start thinking about some trades. But based on kind of when we went over their schedule last time, the first 15 to 18 games are a lot of teams that weren't in the playoffs. And I think if they can just get that head start where you go a 13-5, a 14-4, something like that, where you just create that momentum and you're already in the top seeding, then you can start to get confidence and play like a team that wants to win a championship.
Yeah, definitely. When that schedule release happened, we talked about just the importance of getting a quick start, and they'll have an opportunity to do so with a lot of home games against teams that didn't make the playoffs, as you said. And so, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Luka, full training camp, full summer. It wasn't just like a close to a trade line deal where let's be honest, it was just a super surprising for him and the Lakers. And so it probably took him just a month just to even realize that he's in the purple and gold. And so Yeah, I do wonder, like Dalton Connect, if he's going to really have a role on this team. Right. I mean, I don't know where he fits in. And so, but I feel like I thought he would be probably gone by the training camp, but here we are. And so hopefully he shows out. I'm hearing so many seeing so many rumors of Andrew Wiggins trade. I feel like us Laker fans, we always say this when it's out there in the media and when they talk about it a bunch. I feel like it rarely happens. I guess it kind of happened with AD though. Now that I think of it, it was kind of talked about, but Lakers tend to be like silent assassins with trades. And so when I see a lot of it, it makes me like think like, is that real or is that really going to happen? But yeah, it's they still got a chance. I think I'm assuming they want to see how things go, maybe the first 15, 20 games, and then kind of assess the situation and go from there.
Yeah.
I assume.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like, and if you think about the depth, like, I mean, if you look at the depth chart right now, I don't even think Dalton Connect is cracking the top 10, right? Because you got Jake from State Farm. I mean, Jake Laravia, who's likely going to play ahead of him. And then when you think about, like, even on this roster, you got Bronny James. Like, is he going to be a contributor, right? Like, or is that Gabe Vincent role, right? So they got a lot of talent, a lot of depth, and you even got like Maxi Kleber. Like, could he be?
Hey, I know.
Could he be our backup center more than Jackson Hayes? And when, say, for instance, like if Aiden is healthy and then you have Kleber coming off the bench, you're not playing Jackson Hayes that many minutes at that point, especially with what transpired at the end of last season. But you have that insurance policy of having Hayes if something were to happen to Aiden and he misses some games and things like that. So I think overall, man, this team is deep, and could they be one move away like a Wiggins? I think they could actually get Wiggins without giving a lot of talent, which is kind of crazy because if you're just trading like a Dalton Connect, say Gabe Vincent, say those two or so, and then maybe a draft pick or so, that's nothing. Because essentially, you hopefully have some faith in Bronny James to maybe get some 10 to 15 minute in there. Plus, you have Marcus Smart. Like, where are you putting Marcus Smart right now? Is Gabe?
I don't know. Is he like 6 man or?
Yeah, I mean, like they have a lot of like interchangeable guards, interchangeable forwards. So I think making a move like Andrew Wiggins could be in the cards. I just don't. I mean, if it hasn't happened now, I doubt it happens in training camp. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's gonna have to play out a little bit. I mean, we'll see. It's I think they got depth. They got guys that are gonna probably be a little bit expendable. With Gabe, like we mentioned, the Gabe Vincents of the world and things like that. And so, yeah, I feel like this is the team we're kind of going to roll with. And obviously the rotation will be figured out. I mean, I assume we know what the starting lineup is, right? I mean, is there, I mean, Marcus Smart's not going to crack that, right? I don't think. It's just going.
It'll be the same starting lineup, but with DeAndre Ayton, right? I mean, LeBron at the 4, Rui at the 3, Austin at the 2, and Luka at point.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just going to roll with that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So,
but then you're going to, you're right in games with Marcus Smart, maybe in for Austin or in for Rui, they probably go pretty small with Marcus and Luka, like in the backcourt more, or with Austin Reeves as well. So I think they got a lot of little interchangeable kind of lineups they can do.
Yeah. Should be a fun year. Hopefully health is there. And again, just gotta get off to that quick start. And it's just one of those things when you get off to a really good start, it's like, ooh, do we want to, change things or messing with the mojo? But I think they know probably what they need. They need some athleticism in the wing and, defensively, and could could still score a bit as well. And so that's not going to just go away, even if they start 15-0, you know,
Sure. Yeah.
which won't happen.
100%.
But, you know, it's, out of the past, you know, few years, this is definitely one of the more exciting, you know, times I've had heading into a season for the Lakers, at least.
Yeah. Now, if I had to ask you your gut reaction, your prediction, where are the Lakers finishing for the end of the regular season, and what is their playoff success look like?
I don't know. I mean, last year when we did a predictions, you know, we had like Lakers in the finals and all these things. So I kind of see him hovering around like a 4 or 5 seed. You know, maybe getting one of those 6. We know what seed we would like him to get. We know the data there around what they need to be. They were a 3 seed last year. I think it's going to be very similar where you're 2 through 7, 8 seed. It's going to come down, you know, the last week, couple games here and there. But yeah, I think I can see him being like a 4 or 5, and then having a showdown with like an OKC in the second round, and it just being like, all right, let's see, you know, may the best team win type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the seeds, right? OKC, I mean, it's hard to see them not being the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Then when you're looking at who would be next, who would be after that, I would think it would be Houston because they were last year. But we're going to talk about it in the next segment.
Yeah.
But the Vanvleet injury is a little different there. And then when you look at other teams, you got Minnesota in there, which I think will be better. I think Anthony Edwards is going to take that next leap again. So yeah, I can see them battling between that 3 and 4 seed. And if they play their cards right, start the season off pretty strong, getting up to that 2 seed. Or it could be like, hey, then they fall in between that 4 to 6 range. But I do think when it all balances out, they are going to be one of the better teams in the West. I still think this is a team that finished 3rd last year, and they added more talent, right? Yes, LeBron's a year older.
Yeah, there's that too.
Luka is playing a full season with the Lakers, and I don't know if anybody's seen him this summer, but that boy has been balling. The Eurobasket, he was a bucket, pretty much getting 37 to 42 almost every night, it seemed like. So I think we're going to get an MVP type of season from Luka. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're a top seed because of that.
Yeah. If we get that, we get, you know, top 2 or 3 in MVP votes for Luka, and then LeBron kind of does his thing, and you know, the role players do what they normally do. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just looking at some of the teams. You know, I expect they'll be ahead of Memphis, Utah, San Antonio, Sacramento, Portland, Phoenix, Clippers. I think Warriors, I think, are more of a, I don't know if they're as much of a regular season team. You know, they'll be dangerous. Pelicans, Dallas, you know, Kyrie's out. And so I named a lot of teams that I see him ahead of. Right. And so, you know, we didn't mention, but Denver's obviously super dangerous. So that's why I kind of said Lakers at the 4 or 5, because I'm thinking maybe Denver at the 3. But I mean, never know. I mean, there's so much that could happen. Yeah. And so we'll see. We'll see. We know it's going to be jam packed. Maybe it's one of these years that we assume OKC is going to get first, but maybe it won't be where they're just, you know, 10, 15 games above. You know, sometimes after you win a chip, right, you have that let down every once in a while the year after. So that'll be interesting to see if that happens. And not so much like a let down, but maybe not. They won't have 67 wins or whatever they got last year. And so, yeah, it's gonna be fun for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see OKC with the target on their back, right? Because they've obviously won the championship. They've obviously been number 1 seed 2 years in a row, right? So, or no, were they a number 2 seed the year before?
Number 1, yeah, they're number 1 2 years.
They're number 1, right? Yeah. So, they're so young and talented, barring any type of injury. I think they cruised the regular season with 60 wins. right? So for me, I do think Denver is going to be that team where they can definitely challenge them and be in that second seed, because what did OKC say? Jalen Williams said, Denver was the hardest matchup for them in the playoffs. And they took them to 7 games, and I feel like Denver got better in the offseason, made a lot of significant moves. So I could see Denver kind of battling with them again this year for sure.
Yeah, Denver was like kind of beat up a little bit and like not playing great ball going into the playoffs, but then they showed, when you got, number 15 there and obviously Jamal Murray and the additions they made. I mean, they'll be right up there. So I know a lot of folks are talking about Houston and for good reason, but we still have to see it. Denver, we've seen it. Obviously, won a championship a couple years ago, and they kind of brought back Bruce Bowen too, and so obviously they're rolling with Adelman as their coach, and so they seem to kind of like that just carefree type of personality that he has. So yeah, Denver is going to be super tough.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, so we wanted to get into some unfortunate news. Came out yesterday. Fred VanVleet tore his ACL and is likely out for the year, based on the normal kind of time frames, timelines, especially tearing it this late in the offseason. Usually it's a 9 to 12 month rehab process. I know they didn't fully guarantee he's out for the season, but more than likely he is out for the season. So this changes a lot of things for Houston. Obviously, they were one of the favorites. They added Kevin Durant. You put in Fred VanVleet. They have this pretty significant lineup with Amen Thompson, Durant, and Sengun. Now you take away their point guard, the veteran point guard, and you go, who do they really have at guard? And is this Phoenix all over again?
Yeah.
I don't know, Eric. What do you see here?
Yeah, and what you mean, I know what you mean by Phoenix all over again is it was obviously Kevin Durant, and the one thing that they just never really were able to secure was a point guard, and I think that hurt them. Wasn't anybody there to kind of help distribute and just be that solid force, night in and night out, and so that's what VanVleet is. He's solid, right? He's not a superstar. He's just gutty. He's a champion. He's just a guy that you want on your team, and so he's a vet. And you need guys like that, especially when you have a lot of talent like Houston does, just to someone to kind of balance out that talent. And so, yeah, it's a huge question mark. We obviously cover injuries here a lot, but most of the time we don't expect it to happen before training camp, right? I mean, it does happen here and there. I think Klay Thompson, from what I recall, during the finals, he got hurt. Was it his Achilles in the finals, or was it his knee? No, it was his knee in the finals, and then I think he tore his Achilles in the summer, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, hold on.
Sorry, I kind of recall him.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, I kind of recall him.
I was trying to unmute this, but for some reason it wouldn't let me. Yes, he tore his Achilles. I'm sorry, his ACL in the finals. And
then the Achilles happened in just like summer, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So yeah, it's such a freak accident when it doesn't even happen during a game or during training camp or practice. Obviously, he was doing some kind of practice, but it wasn't just. It was just probably just the typical training he does. So, yeah, I don't know. Obviously Houston's going to have some time to kind of figure out things, right? There's a trade deadline, things like that, where they can maybe make a move. It's better than it probably happening later in the year, where he's obviously going to be out even longer, and it's without really time to adjust. But I think it's definitely a huge blow.
Yeah. Especially, with their additions in the offseason, getting Dorian Finney-Smith, locking up Jabari Smith, right? So they have this talent, They're just not going to have that point guard. And they did draft somebody 2 years ago who is now going to have to be a bigger role than he probably thought he was going to have, and that's Reed Shepherd. Can he be that guy that just can fill that role at point guard? That's to be seen. I mean, he's a great shooter, so if you got all this talent around you and you just stay in the open spot and get the ball back from time to time and hit the open jumper, that'd be great. You got a player like Aaron Holiday that can be a veteran as well. So I just think they're probably going to have to add a veteran point guard at some point via free agency or a trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless, I had to figure Shepherd, they were going to try to see what they got, if he was a third pick, a couple years back. And so, I'm sure that's somebody that they're going to really weigh on, and, see if he can contribute. And then, Holiday. And so they got some vets there. But, for a team that's seen as one of the contenders and been a lot of noise around, last thing you want to kick things off is a pretty significant injury. And so hopefully a speedy recovery to Mr. Fred Vanvleet.
Yeah. Hope that he can, we can see him on the court soon, but, we know how long the rehab is and hoping for a good recovery for him. All right, Eric. We are back to basketball. Obviously, we've been having a lot of football content as of late. So we will be covering football on Sunday nights and possibly like Thursdays as well. But we will be getting in our NBA shows as training camp starts and preseason and the regular season gets underway. So if you guys have any comments, questions, drop us a DM, send us some messages, send us some comments, and we will answer them on the show. But Eric, do you have anything else before we get out of here?
That's it. Thank you everyone for listening in, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple days.
All right, guys. Great show. We'll see you guys later. The Hoops Rehab team is out.
Peace.
See ya.